Have you ever started a project with someone just full of excitement, only to watch the whole thing kind of fall apart? Well, today we're going to dig into a framework from Adam Blischer's book, Winning Words, that is basically a blueprint to stop that from happening. We're going to explore how to make any collaboration, whether it's on the tennis court or in the boardroom, really succeed right from day one.
Okay, so let's just dive right in by talking about a massive problem that, affects pretty much everyone. Why is it that so many really promising partnerships just fizzle out and fail?
It's a huge question, right? And the answer, at least according to the book, is a lot simpler and way more common than you probably think. Most of us, we immediately assume that a partnership failed because of a gap in skill, or maybe someone just wasn't talented enough. But Winning Words points to something much deeper, something way more fundamental.
So what this really tells us is that these partnerships are often doomed from the very beginning. It's not about talent, it's about clarity. It's the simple misunderstandings and unspoken expectations. That's the real partnership killer.
So, how do we actually fix this? Well, the book offers a really simple but, honestly, a pretty profound solution. If the problem is a lack of clarity, the solution starts with connection, not with giving directions.
This right here is the guiding principle for this whole idea. Success isn't about just telling someone what to do. It's about building a real connection first, so you earn the right to even be heard.
As one coach, Kyle LaCroix, puts it, that first phase has to feel relational, not transactional. It should be a conversation where you're trying to understand the other person, not a sales pitch where you're trying to convince them of something.
All right, so let's get practical. What's the first step to building this connection? It's all about creating what the book calls a shared map. And this is really just about getting on the exact same page about who is supposed to do what. And man, this quote just nails it. Before you can even think about who's doing what task, you have to understand the person you're working with. What really drives them? What are they actually trying to achieve here?
And here's what that shared map can actually look like in practice. This example from Coach Steve Johnson Sr. is just crystal clear. Look at it. The player owns things like being on time and having a good attitude. The coach? They own the long-term plan and giving honest feedback. When you have this kind of clarity, all that gray area that causes problems later, it just disappears.
Okay, so you've got your map, you know who's doing what. The next piece of the puzzle is to draw the boundaries. These are the absolute, unshakable rules of the road for your partnership.
The book has a great name for these, non-negotiables. And these aren't just suggestions, okay? They are the bedrock, the very foundation of your entire collaboration.
And look, this doesn't have to be some super complicated thing. We're talking about simple, clear standards. Things like always being on time, always giving 100% effort, or agreeing on how you'll communicate after a tough day. Everyone agrees to these right at the start.
But here's the secret sauce. It's all in how you apply them. You state them up front, and you make them measurable. Chase every ball is an action you can see. Work hard? Well, that's open to interpretation. So it's not about being rigid about everything. It's about being absolutely solid on the few things that truly matter, which then gives you the freedom to be flexible everywhere else. So, your map is drawn. Your lines are in the sand. But there is one final, and I mean incredibly important step you have to take before you start the journey. You've got to decide if this is even the right journey to take in the first place. And this quote from Coach Nick Saviano, wow, it just completely reframes the entire decision. This isn't just a business deal, it's a sacred trust. And when you think of it that way, suddenly the responsibility feels a whole lot heavier, doesn't it? So before you jump in and say yes, you have to hit pause and ask some really tough questions. Do our core values actually line up? Do I realistically have the time and the energy for this? And maybe this is the biggest one. Am I willing to say no if I know deep down that it's just not the right fit? And that right there is such a powerful idea. Saying no doesn't mean you failed, not at all. Sometimes, making the choice not to start a partnership that's probably just destined to fail, well, that's the most successful and professional move you can possibly make.
All right, so let's boil this all down. What's the one big idea that holds this whole blueprint together?
It really just comes down to these three things. And they're all built through honest, open conversation before the work even begins. The entire goal is to replace all those risky, dangerous assumptions with solid, concrete agreements.
And that leaves us with one last question, one for you to really think about.
Look at the important partnerships in your own life right now, at work or wherever. Is their foundation built on the solid ground of clear agreements, or are you just kind of hoping for the best, standing on a shaky foundation of assumptions? The answer might just change everything.